As many of you know, my name is David Barber, and I have the privilege of serving as the Honorary Consul for the Kingdom of Belgium here in Kansas and also in Nebraska. The following is a speech which I gave in early 2014 at an American Legion post in western Kansas near Fort Riley, so as to honor the veterans of the Battle of the Bulge. There were only about 200 people present, but it was covered by television, newspaper, and radio. I was told it was well received, and I hope you enjoy. We're going to begin the program now, and to start with, we'd like to say that we're honored to have the Honorary Consul for Belgium and his lovely wife in attendance here today. He asked to say a few words, or he is asked to say a few words to the veterans of the Battle of the Bulge. Please help me welcome the Honorary Consul for Belgium, Mr. David Barber. Kind introduction. I'm happy to be back. I was here in 2010 at the 6th reunion. I'm happy to be back. Louder. Can you hear now? How about that? That's better. Good. Veterans, family members of veterans, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be with you today to commemorate the 69th reunion of the Battle of the Bulge. I understand that in attendance with us today, we have 15 or 16 men who 69 years ago, when they were ages 17, 18, and 19 years old, were fighting in the largest land battle of World War II. And to those men and their comrades who are not here with us today, I want to tell you that the passage of time has not caused us to forget what you did for the world. Now, since I'm one of the first speakers, and since I noticed so many young people here in the audience, younger people here in the audience today, I think I better meander through history just a little so you have a better grasp of what a tough spot Belgium was in. And for those younger people, I'm gonna start back when Hitler wanted revenge for World War I, and he specifically wanted some of the countries back that Germany had lost in World War I. So in 1938, he annexed or incorporated the countries of Austria and Czechoslovakia back into Germany. No shots were fired, rather he did it through political maneuvering. So Hitler was just on a roll, taking over countries. And in 1939, he invaded Poland, the country directly east of Germany, which was another country Germany had lost in World War I. Well, the invasion, which was successful, of Poland in 1939 is recognized by most as the beginning of World War II. Now, the invasion of Poland triggered off all kinds of diplomatic wrangling and threats and treaty violations, with the end result being Britain and France declared war on Germany. And Belgium at that time was trying very hard to remain neutral. It didn't last long. On May 10th, 1940, and without warning, lightning hit Belgium. And when I say lightning, I mean the lightning war of the Blitzkrieg. German planes bombed, and German troops crossed into Belgium. So here you have a peacetime army that was faced with a sudden onslaught of aircraft, tanks, artillery fire, and infantry charges. And the Belgian border, which was protected by Belgium, British, and French troops, they all started falling back. Civilians fled into the open roads, mingling with soldiers, and were both constantly strafed by German planes. Now, the impact of the bombing, the strafing, the evacuation, mass panics, flights of hundreds of thousands of people from their homes just created chaos. Rationing had to be imposed to distribute food. And by the end of May 1940, you have a major military retreat and the evacuation from Dunkirk. End of May 1940, you have King Leopold of Belgium negotiating the best deal possible, and a government in exile is set up in London. Well, the Allies had been planning the liberation of Belgium since it had been taken over in 1940. So in 1944, in preparation for the liberation, the Allies stepped up their attack on anything of value to the Germans. Railroad lines, bridges, locks, factories, ports, any vehicles on the road. They were fair game. Needless to say, not all the bombs hit their target, and the casualties among the Belgian civilians were unfortunately high. Well, the first step in the liberation of Belgium was the Allied landing on Normandy, June 6, 1944. And soon, the Western Front was established. And by September of 1944, American tanks were crossing the border of Belgium, and then they went on to Brussels, and then they went on to Antwerp. Well, Hitler then ordered a massive surprise attack on December 16, 1944, the Ardennes Forest, which resulted in the Battle of Bulge. It took many weeks of bitter fighting in the snow, but by mid-January 1945, the Allies had prevailed and thrown the Germans back into Germany. The Battle of the Bulge was the largest land battle fought by the Americans in World War II. Over 600, this is a huge number, over 600,000 American troops were involved in the battle. Well, the real story of the Battle of the Bulge is the story of those individual soldiers. With some exception, for the most part, they were children of the 1920s and the 1930s. They were raised during the Great Depression. They watched their mothers worry. They watched the crops get blown away by dust storms. They watched farms and homes be lost to foreclosure. They watched banks fail. Stock market crashed. They watched their fathers stand in bread lines. These were steel, tough boys. They had been through a lot, and they were going to be through even more in the Battle of the Bulge. And they also knew that not all of them would survive and go home, but rather some of their mothers and girlfriends would receive the dreaded message of the Secretary of War regrets to inform you. These boys were not war planners, but they knew they had to win this battle, and they did. Today, we honor and commend you for your duty and your honor. You are heroes. You are veterans of the Battle of the Bulge. On behalf of Belgium, I'd like to thank you and every person, including nurses, who contributed to that victory. And I'd also like to thank your comrades who are not here with us today, and their family, friends and family.